I cannot keep living like this. This woman is destroying everything I have built.
Kola, you need to choose. It is either your mother or your marriage. You did this! How could you?
I didn't do anything!
Liar! We saw you!
Please stop!
The day Kola brought Zara home, something in the air shifted. His colleagues called him a lucky man. His neighbors said he had finally met his match. And for the first time in his adult life, Kola walked with his chest out. Zara stepped out of the car, looking like someone who had never once in her life begged for a seat at any table. She was not loud about it. She did not need to be. Her eyes were calm and her steps were steady, and she had not come to this house to make friends. Aisha stood at the entrance in her blue wrapper and coral beads, walking stick in hand, and 40 years of control sitting comfortably on her shoulders. She looked Zara up and down slowly. "Good afternoon, Ma. I am happy to finally meet you. We shall see about that." Kola leaned towards Zara. "Just be patient with her. She takes time to warm up." Zara smiled. She did not need warming up. She had already seen everything she needed to see. Behind them, Kola's sister folded her arms. "This one is different. She is not going to be easy to handle." She was right, and she had absolutely no idea how right she was. 3 days later, the house was humming with a tension nobody was naming out loud. Aisha moved through the rooms the way she always had, touching things, rearranging things, watching Zara with the quiet focus of a woman who was already planning her next move. What Aisha did not know was that Zara had already made hers. It makes you wonder how many homes in this world are quietly controlled by someone who was never meant to live there. How many good people have walked through a front door full of hope and found themselves slowly disappearing inside a house that was never truly theirs. Kola was not a bad man. He was a man who had been taught that keeping the peace was the same thing as doing the right thing. This story is for everyone who has ever confused silence with loyalty. Before we go on, I want to acknowledge you. The fact that you are here investing your time and attention makes all the difference in the world. If you are enjoying this, please support the channel with a like and a subscribe. It means more than you know. Now let us continue. Lola arrived with 2 bags and a heart so full of hope it was almost painful to watch. She was a teacher, gentle, warm, and completely convinced that love and patience could fix anything. She thought she was walking into a marriage. She did not know she was walking into a test that had already been designed for her to fail. On the first night, she followed Kola upstairs and pushed open the bedroom door. The wardrobe was already full. House slippers sat beside the bed. Aisha's Bible and herbal oil rested on the pillow like they had always been there. Aisha walked in behind them and tightened her wrapper. "I have been having terrible dreams. I need to stay close to my son until they pass." Kola looked at the floor. Lola slept in the guest room that night, then the next, then the one after that. She kept telling herself it was temporary, but every morning she woke up alone, as she understood something she had not wanted to understand. She had not married a man. She had married a boy who had never left his mother's shadow. 4 months into the marriage, Lola's womb became the property of the entire household. Aisha began quietly, a sigh here, a comment there. Strange herbs stirred into Lola's food with a warm smile, and a story about family recipes. Lola noticed the taste was different but said nothing. She was still trying to belong. Then came the family dinner. The compound was full. Food was plenty and the conversation was loud. Then Aisha stood up, tapped a walking stick, and the room went quiet. She pointed at Lola without shame. 4 months and nothing. This girl is a dry tree. My son deserves better. Some people looked away. Some laughed quietly. Kola sat at the head of the table and said absolutely nothing. Lola kept her eyes on her plate. She did not cry. She was still trying to understand how a woman could humiliate another woman in front of a full compound and call it love for a son. The morning Aisha packed Lola's bags was a Tuesday, quiet and ordinary like any other day. No shouting, no drama. Just Aisha moving through the bedroom, folding clothes and placing them into the same 2 bags Lola had arrived with. By the time Lola came out of the bathroom, her life in that house was already sitting on the front porch. She looked at Kola from across the room. He stood with his arms folded, eyes on the wall behind her. Kola, are you going to say something? He cleared his throat. Maybe it is better this way, for everyone. That sentence finished something inside Lola. Not her strength, just her last remaining hope. She picked up her bags and walked out without slamming the door. She closed it gently. The way you close the door of a room, you know you will never enter again. She had come with love. She left with the quiet knowledge that some men are so deep inside their mother's shadow, they cannot see the sun directly above them. 6 months later, Halima arrived from the village. She was young, quiet, and hardworking in the particular way of someone who had never been given anything easily. She woke before sunrise. She cooked without being asked. She cleaned every corner without complaining once. Aisha loved her immediately. That should have been a warning, because what Aisha loved was not Halima's character, it was her silence. Halima never pushed back. She lowered her eyes when Aisha entered a room and called her mama with a softness that made the older woman feel like a queen. In Aisha's mind, this was the perfect wife, hardworking, quiet, and making no demands on anyone. Kola thought he had finally found peace. What he had actually found was a woman being slowly swallowed by a household that had no intention of ever seeing her as a full human being. Halima swept and cooked and smiled, and Aisha watched her every evening with the quiet satisfaction of someone whose plan was working exactly as designed. Here is something I want you to think about. Have you ever watched someone you cared about stay silent in a situation where one word from them would have changed everything? Or maybe you were the one who stayed quiet when you should have spoken. Drop your experience in the comments. You might be surprised how many people are sitting with the same memory right now. Before we go on, just a heartfelt thank you. Your presence is not just a number, it is the soul of this channel. I am truly grateful you are here. If you want to keep these journeys alive, take a second to like and subscribe. It truly helps. Now let us continue. It started with small things, the kind of things you could explain away if you really wanted to. Halima would wake in the night to sounds she could not place. A knock with no one behind it. A smell like something burnt drifting under the bedroom door. One morning, her shoes were arranged in a circle in the center of the room. She had not done it. Kola said he had not either. Then the sisters got involved. They began whispering stories around her. About the first wife. About things that had happened to women who slept in that bedroom. One night, Kola's sister appeared in the dark doorway wrapped in white cloth, completely still and completely silent. Halima screamed until the whole house woke up. The sisters rushed in pretending to comfort her. Aisha arrived last, shaking her head slowly. This house is too much for some people. Not everyone is strong enough to stay here. Halima sat shaking on the bed, no longer sure what was real. Halima stopped eating properly. She stopped sleeping. She would sit and stare at nothing, flinching at small sounds, checking behind her before entering any room. The doctor called it severe anxiety. The family called it weakness. Kola drove her back to her village on a Saturday morning, telling himself he was doing the right thing. He repeated this all the way there because saying it out loud to himself was easier than saying nothing at all. Aisha did not go to bed sad that night. She sat with her sisters eating ground nuts and discussing the next wife, what she should bring. Which family had a daughter worthy of their consideration? 2 women gone, and she sat there like someone who had just won a competition. Kola lay alone on his bed, staring at the ceiling. 2 wives, 2 failures, and deep in the place he kept locked away, he already knew exactly who had caused all of it. He just was not ready to say it yet. Kola met Zara at a building project in Lagos. She walked into the meeting room with drawings under her arm and her mind already ahead of everyone else at the table. She did not perform confidence, she simply had it. They talked after the meeting. Then again the following week. By the 3rd month, he had told her things he had never said out loud. About Lola, about Halima, about the silence he had been living inside for years. He thought honesty might push her away. Instead, she looked at him and said, "The problem is not the women who left. The problem is what you allowed to stay." He did not fully understand her then. When he brought her home, Zara greeted Aisha warmly, sat down, and within 10 minutes had asked 3 quiet questions that left the older woman slightly off balance. Nothing rude, just precise enough to matter. Aisha smiled through it, but that night she told herself this one would need to be handled very differently. She had no idea Zara had already started handling things too. Zara moved in with her suitcases and something nobody noticed. Small cameras built to look like ordinary decorations. A clock on the shelf. A plant holder by the kitchen window. A figurine in the hallway. She placed them quietly over 3 days and reviewed the footage at night while Kola slept. She did not tell him yet. She needed to see the house for what it truly was first. It did not take long. Within 2 weeks, she had footage of Aisha opening a jewelry box and removing a gold bracelet, wrapping it in cloth and tucking it into her own bag. She had audio of the sisters in the kitchen laughing about Kola, calling him a man who would never stand up for himself. She sat with her phone one evening, watching everything back, and felt something settle inside her. Not anger, something closer to clarity. She knew what had happened to Lola. She knew what had happened to Halima. And she now knew exactly what she was going to do about it. If this story is holding you, hit that like button right now and subscribe to join the squad. Every like tells us these stories matter and helps us find more of them for you. Do not let the next one pass you by. The final confrontation happened on a Sunday afternoon. Aisha had been pushing all week. Sharp comments, long sighs. Then that morning, a mechanic told Kola that someone had deliberately tampered with Zara's brake line. Kola confronted his mother. She denied everything, raised her voice, and turned on the tears. After everything I have sacrificed, this is how you treat me. Because of this woman. That was when Zara walked in with her phone and connected it to the television. She did not shout. She pressed play. The room watched in silence. Aisha, at a jewelry box. The sisters mocking their own brother. Recording after recording, calm and thorough and completely undeniable. Kola stood in the middle of the room with both hands pressed to his head. The woman on that screen was not the mother he had spent his whole life defending. He picked up the papers from the table. Zara had prepared them weeks ago. He signed without a word. For the first time in his life, he had nothing left to say to his mother. And for the first time in hers, she had nothing left to take from him. And if you think that ending was something, wait until you hear the story of a woman who discovered on her wedding night that her new husband had a secret second family living 3 streets away, and what she did next will leave you completely speechless. Turn on your notifications so you do not miss it.